Again, the name's Tom Nielsen with Liaison Software. Appreciate everybody's time today. We're showing you Liaison's Messenger EDD product. Messenger EDD automates business form and report distribution. It handles batch emailing, batch faxing, built-in archiving, and allows you to also attach supporting documentation to outbound documents, both static and variable attachments. So those are some of the features that we're going to cover during the demo. What you're looking, customers that use our product mainly use it for business form distribution, but it's also used for distributing management reporter reports. We have customers use it for sending out invoices, orders, quotes, purchase orders, sending out statements. So we're going to focus on two reports today, an invoice script and a statement script. What we're looking at here is the Messenger print server. Okay, so just your administrator would have access to the Messenger print server. I could really show you all of the features of the product from the Messenger server, but keep in mind that the end user, the person that creates invoices or orders, would never have access to the Messenger print server. It's only part of the initial setup. The two functions that the end user has access to is printing with the Messenger EDD print driver through your normal print routine. And you'll see me use the print driver when I generate invoices and statements through the program. The other function that they would have is the ability to edit recipient preferences. And when we talk about a recipient, we're talking about customers or vendors or salespeople or employees. And what you do here, just to focus on the customer still, is you go into the customer card in Dynamics GP. We're maintaining all of the information from Dynamics GP. And you pull up a customer, and you edit through the Internet address button. This is our default field for email addresses, so we can put multiple email addresses in this field. We could link to any field on the customer record to pull the email address. So when I process, when I do my typical one-on-one demo, I usually add an individual's email address here. So when I process this, you'll see it email back to me and go through my Outlook. So we have our email address here, and I'm also going to be sending a document through another record. So let me go to this other one. So statements are going to come out of this one, and you'll see this is going to, again, go into the same email address. So you maintain the email address on the customer record. We pull our fax number typically from the fax number field on the main screen for the customer. And that's it from an end user perspective. The end user, again, prints with our print driver through the normal print routine in GP and edits fax number and email address on the customer record or the vendor record. Everything else we're going to be showing you here during the demo is just part of the initial configuration. It's all done at the one machine where Messenger server runs in your office. So it's either running on a workstation that you treat like a server, or it's running on a server box. It could run on the GP server if you'd like, and it can run in a virtual environment also. Again, some of the other initial setup here is faxing and emailing. So it does use one Outlook email client on the Messenger server machine. The majority of our over 1,000 clients that have used the product use the one Outlook email client. We are seeing more people these days use SMTP. It also works with Gmail and MAPI clients also. On the faxing side, we have a number of faxing solutions that we work with. The two most common are these up at the top, Internet Fax Service and Microsoft Fax. So the Microsoft Fax, you just enable Microsoft Windows Fax and Scan on the machine where Messenger server is. You set up a dedicated phone line and a modem, and you're ready to fax out that way. Internet Fax Service is where you set up an account with companies like eFax or MyFax or GoToFax, and we actually email the fax out through those third-party products. Okay, now the fun part here is setting up the scripts or the rules around the report that's processed. So here's my EDD scripts. I'm going to jump over here. It manages multiple companies, as you can see here. And I'm going to focus on two scripts, invoice script and the statement script. So this script is a set of rules or actions built around the report that's going to run through Messenger. So again, to trigger this, someone would have gone into GP, printed a single invoice or a batch of invoices with our print driver, we would create a PDF of that print stream and send the print stream here to the Messenger print server, where we then distribute based on these rules. So these examples here are where we're going to print an internal copy to an accounting printer. Every single invoice would have an accounting copy printed to that printer. I'm going to skip line number 2 for a second. Line number 3, it's sending a copy to the customer's preference. So it's going to be printed, faxed, or emailed based on the customer's preference. And line number 4 is archiving a copy of that invoice to a folder. And we'll talk about that archived copy when we get to statement processing. Now, back to line number 2, what's happening here is we are attaching a supporting document to the invoice. So this is an example of a static attachment. We're taking this PDF and we're going to be merging it with the invoice that we're creating and sending out. So this is typically used, a common way of static attachment is used is related to purchase orders when you want to attach terms and conditions to the purchase order. The terms and conditions would be that static attachment. So that's an example of a script and some typical lines in a script. I'd like to take, if possible, take any questions right now if there's anything else you want to potentially accomplish when you distribute a business form, an invoice or an order, etc. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to jump now to the next piece here is talking about the report that's being used. So the script here, the invoice script, is linked to your existing report. So that's going to be using either the GP Report Writer report, SQL reporting services. It can work with it does work with the Word templates. We have customers that use it with the GP Word templates. Most people choose not to use the GP Word templates just because of the nature of dealing with them, because they're a little bit harder to work with. It also works with Crystal. Now, keep in mind as we go through this, we're focusing on Dynamics GP, but this works with any third-party product also. So if you're using Key to Act or other third-party products, Messenger works with those solutions also. The key is it's all about the report that's processed. So I'm going to pull up a Crystal report right now, and just Tom, like I would be looking at. Yes.
Sorry, we did have one question.
Okay.
Someone was curious to see an email a copy to someone.
I could do that. Let me do that. Let me, as I'm about to process that, well, let me do that now because I did skip that part. I'm going to jump back to the settings in here, and I'm going to go to sales and to these 2 customers that I pulled up earlier. So if you want to provide me with an email address.
Yeah, I mean, you can use mine if we need to.
Okay, I'm ready for that.
It is Michael, M-I-C-H-A-E-L, .Burke, B-U-R-K-E, at InterDyn BMI.
Okay. So I'm going to copy that now, and I'm going to put that into my other record too. Save that. There it is. Let's paste it. Just separating by a semicolon and save. Okay, so myself and Michael will get the email when that's processed. Okay, and that's all maintained in Dynamics GP. Okay, so what we're doing now is talking about the report. So I'm showing you a Crystal report. Again, we could be looking at the GP Report Writer report, SQL reporting services. My example is the same either way. What we do, and we work with the InterDyn team or someone from your IT team to accomplish this. There's between 3 to 7 hidden fields that are put into your report. We call these data identifier tokens. You could see them, I'm hovering over them up in the top left corner of this report. By having these hidden fields in the report, they allow us to see the key data that we need to see. And the tokens are created based on the script that we just went over. So our script said to route to the customer preference. So we're going to have a token based on the customer ID number in the report. We're also going to have a token based on the invoice number. Because we're archiving a copy of the invoice, we're going to use that data in that field to name that archived copy. We might also create a token off of the purchase order number field. So we could use that data in the subject line or the email body of the email going out. Okay, so we put these hidden fields in the report. I've just pulled up a sample of a token. So we would work with your team or work with the InterDyn team to insert these in here. You could see in the middle of this is the actual field name for this report, and that's the invoice number in the top right corner. Okay, they're hidden fields. So I could take any questions now related to the reports. We're going to process a couple of documents next through Messenger. Any questions related to the tokens in the report?
We haven't had any come in, but I'll let you know if we do.
Great, thank you. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to run a report, an invoice script, and it's going to be based on this one here. So what I explained earlier is what's going to be triggered and run. So right now I'm turning the Messenger server on. You can see that green light. That means Messenger is looking for PDFs to process right now. I'm going to pull up my archive folder up in the top right corner because we're going to be archiving a copy of an invoice here to this folder. I already have 3 invoices archived here. And I'm going to pull up Outlook in the bottom right corner here. So you can see my outbox and my sent box. Drag this down here. Now I'm just going to go into Dynamics GP. And I'm going to process an invoice through the normal print routine at this point. So this relies upon your existing print procedure. I'm just going to go in and I'm going to generate an invoice. Okay, I'm going to drag this down here. This is all still part of the standard GP processing. And now you'll see a dialog box with our print driver selected. So with named printers, you set our print driver as the default print driver. So when I hit the print button right now, again, I could be printing a single invoice or a batch of 1,000 invoices. Once I hit the print button, a PDF is going to be created and sent to the Messenger server. And in the next 1 to 6 seconds, you're going to see that green light flash to yellow, meaning it's processing for a second or two, and then it's going to go back to green when it's done, and you're going to see the emails get sent out. It's going to be printed and archived. So here we go. Watch the green light. It's yellow right now, and it's back to green. So Messenger is complete at this point. You can see it's printing to my printer. We had our accounting copy printed. Up in the top left corner, we have our archive copy that was created. Okay, and you can see our date there and time. That's on the West Coast. And then you can see the sent box has sent the invoice to both Michael and myself. So what we have here is our standard email text that we included, and in the subject line of the email, we've included the invoice number. So we've taken that from the report and placed it in there. And now we'll pull up the PDF. So this PDF, again, we attached a supporting document. So we had our invoice, and then we had a brochure of another product of ours. This is a new product that we're coming out with that automates the distribution of checks via email. Okay, so that's our invoice that was sent, and those are the processes we completed. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to process a statement real quick. If you remember on the invoice script, we archived the invoice to a folder. There's the archive copy. Now we'll jump to the statement. And people buy Messenger just for this feature. This is called a variable attachment. So what we're doing in line number 2 is we are looking on the statement report for all of the invoice numbers listed on the statement. We're then going into the archive folder here, retrieving all of the applicable PDFs of those invoices and merging them with the statement into one PDF. And then we're sending that to the customer, and we're archiving it to a folder. So I'm going to turn the server back on, and I'm going to pull up those windows again, because you're going to see it archive and you're going to see it email out again. And now I'm going to go back into GP. Oh, did that already. And I'm going to process a statement through the normal print routine. Drag this down here, and I'll hit print. Now we also have the ability here to select our local print driver. What the local print driver does is it allows you to view the print stream that's processed. This has not been sent to the Messenger server yet, so it does not include any attachments. But when I hit print, it's going to give me a preview window of all the documents that I can now scroll through. I could even print to a local printer if I choose to do so. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just hit the distribute button, which is going to take that PDF and it's going to send it to the Messenger server. So again, watch that green light in the background. It's going to process and you'll see the folders get populated again. Here we go. It's done already before I could even minimize GP. So you can see we've archived the statement here. My outbox has one record in it right now. It hasn't moved over to my sent box yet. And we'll wait for that to move over. There it is. And I'll pull up the email. So here we have our standard email text again, and we have our statement. Now what's accompanying the statement now is 4 pages. So if you look on the statement itself, we have 3 invoice numbers listed. And page 2, 3, and 4 are those invoices attached. Now, again, this is an example of a variable attachment. This is the most common way that a variable attachment is used. We have other customers that attach proof of delivery, MSDSs, certificate of compliance. Some customers attach instructions to an invoice. So they create a whole library of instructions all based on the invoice number. Each PDF is based on, the item number. So when the invoice is created, we look at all the item numbers on the invoice, go back into that folder to retrieve all the applicable instructions, merge them with the invoice, sending it to the recipient, but also archiving it internally. So you have one PDF with all the instructions related to that job, to that invoice. Okay, last thing we'll cover here is really quickly talk about if any of you are using Management Reporter. Messenger integrates with Management Reporter also. So let me pull up a PowerPoint real quick here. Let's see here. Okay, so what we are doing here, we go to my slide. With Management Reporter reports, we would be inserting the tokens. So this is Management Reporter screen here where we're adding header and footer information. We're putting our tokens in there. Again, they're invisible tokens. Now, just for the sake of the demo, I have the tokens viewable in the actual report here. Now, what triggers this is you go into Management Reporter. There's 3 ways to trigger it. One is manually running a Management Reporter report and then printing with our print driver through the report viewer. It creates a PDF of that report, sends it to the Messenger server for that standard distribution. The second way with Management Reporter is to schedule the Management Reporter report to run and have it emailed to an in-house recipient. They would click on the hyperlink, open up the report in the report viewer, and then print with our print driver, and it would accomplish the same thing by creating the PDF and sending it through standard distribution. The third way is to go ahead and create an Excel spreadsheet of the Management Reporter report and then save that to our Q1 folder, which we then distributed through the normal distribution also. So you would just go through the report viewer and print with our print driver, or save it as an Excel spreadsheet and save it to our Q1 folder. We have a customer in the Midwest. It's actually a Pizza Hut franchise that uses Messenger for distributing Management Reporter reports to its 160 Pizza Hut stores. And every month they have 4 reports they need to get to each store. So what they do is they go ahead and they run each of the first 3 reports. When they print those reports, we are taking that each report is going to be burst into 160 individual PDFs and archived to an archive folder. When they run the final report, which always has to run last, we're doing the same process of bursting that report into 160 PDFs, but then we're going back into the archive folder, retrieving the other 3 reports per store, merging them together in one PDF, and sending them to each store. Also, sending them to the appropriate managers. So each manager gets a copy of all the reports for their stores. And that is Messenger EDD. So I'd like to take any other questions that come up right now.
Yeah, we still haven't had any, but we can give them a few moments to think over what they just saw today. Okay, we got one. Does Messenger work with SharePoint?
It does. The plus option of Messenger allows us to publish to SharePoint site. It does. Yes, it does.
Great.
So just while hopefully more questions are coming in, I'm going to go back into Messenger here. We've talked about the standard Messenger EDD functionality. The plus option allows you to do a couple of things. One is to publish to an FTP site or to SharePoint site. It also allows you to run within a script here. We could run a stored procedure. We could run an executable. We could trigger an SSRS report or a Crystal report to run at the same time, where we're taking data from the initial report and passing it off as an argument to those other reports or to the stored procedure. But yes, it does work with SharePoint.
Okay, yeah, we still haven't had any others submitted. Was there any other features you wanted to show while we were waiting?
No, that's pretty much it. We've covered the report distribution, the business form distribution. We talked about the batch emailing and faxing, the ability to attach additional documents, and it's all triggered by printing with a print driver, and then distributes based on the rules that you set up at the server here.
Perfect. We do have one more that just came in. Is Messenger an add-on product to GP? Are we converting to GP this fall? Or they are converting to GP this fall?
Yes, it is. It's an add-on product to GP. It works with GP and it works with any other third-party that GP supports, like Key to Act is one, Wensoft. We have quite a number of customers that use Messenger with that product also. And it could work with any custom systems that you have in-house. You might not have invoices being generated in Dynamics GP. They might come out of a custom application or a more industry-specific application. And we have a lot of clients that use Messenger in both of those scenarios. So Messenger could then feed, it can archive the invoice coming from a custom system that could later be attached to a statement that's coming out of GP. But yes, it is an add-on to GP.
Okay, well, if there's no additional questions, we can get out of here a little bit early. Just another reminder that we will be sending out a follow-up email that will contain a link for the recording of the session in case there was anything you missed or wanted to rewatch from today. And if any later questions do come up, you can feel free to reach out to myself, Tom, or your account executive, and we'll help you with anything that you need. And with that, on behalf of everyone at InterDyn BMI and Liaison, we want to thank you for your attendance and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Take care.